Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox back for another episode, and I'm absolutely thrilled today to have Mark Haufler and Patricia Lee with us today to talk about our joint love of the Hill Country Youth Orchestras. Guys, first of all, welcome to the pod.
Tom, thank you for having us. We're
Thank you.
excited to be here.
Could you start by telling us what the Hill Country Youth Orchestras is or are, and a little bit of the history of it?
I can give you a little background. Uh, I came on board with the Hill Country Youth Orchestras back in 2004, and it had already been in existence since, I believe, 1987. The exact history of the start of this program can be found on our website, hcyo.org. Uh, I can tell you that when I came on board, it was a one town organization with approximately 50 to 60 students total and about two orchestras. It has since evolved into an organization that serves the Hill Country in three different locations: Fredericksburg, Boerne, and Kerrville. We have gone into the ability to offer 10 orchestra levels through those three towns. And we currently serve anywhere from 150 to 160 students up to 220, depending on enrollment each year. Our Kerrville location offers a full orchestra experience for not only our string orchestra students, violin, viola, cello, bass, but also our woodwind brass and percussion high school students. So that's kind of where we're at right now. And this is a program that I'm very proud to be affiliated with. It has been offered as a tuition free, cost free program since its inception. And currently, we are serving the youth of the Hill Country, regardless of their ability to pay for anything or their desire to be part of it. Is there's no boundaries that they have to cross to be with us. We'll take them from beginner level up through advanced high school levels. I'm very proud of the students that we've served through the years because most of them, I actually can't think of any student that has not gone on to be a wonderful contributing member of our local cities and in Texas, and in fact, throughout the country, some of them parts of the world. Thank you.
Pat, what's your role with Hill Country Youth Orchestras?
I am currently the executive artistic director. When I first came on board, I was one of the conductors. And then shortly after that, I became the director of education. That's a role that I had served in previously with the youth orchestras of San Antonio. And I uh, became responsible for recruiting our other conductors, our clinicians, and all of the professional faculty that have worked with our students through the years. And then 3 years ago, I think it's 3 years now,
Yes, yes.
I was asked to consider taking on the job of executive artistic director, which is basically administering all the programs, which was at the time a little bit new for me, administering the executive functions of an organization such as finances and purchases and other things like that. But I'm learning as I go.
Mark, could I ask you what your role with the Hill Country Youth Orchestras is?
Yes, Tom, I've been on the board about 10 years, and I currently serve as the president of the board or chair of the board. Probably been in that role about 3 years, about the time Pat came on as executive artistic director. And I've gotten to work with Pat very closely over the last 2 or 3 years, and she's an amazing lady. And we're so fortunate to have her guiding us. I will comment that her acumen with financial statements has improved dramatically. So kudos to Pat. She doesn't
Thank you.
scream when she sees a balance sheet anymore. A little more on the history of the orchestras. Linda Abels, who many folks in Kerrville know, started the program not necessarily accidentally, but it just seemed like the perfect circumstances came together. And she was the director of music at First United Methodist Church in Kerrville at the time. And that church has served kind of as our home base for all these years, and we use their facilities to do rehearsals on Mondays. And I just want to give a shout out to the church about how kind they've been to us to allow us to use their facilities for no cost for all these years. St. Helena's Episcopal Church in Boerne serves as our Boerne campus, and then Fredericksburg Methodist Church in Fredericksburg helps out with our Fredericksburg campus. I kind of echoing a little bit about what Pat's saying about the effects of the orchestra on kids as they grow up. Obviously, it does a lot of wonderful things for the kids, teaches them discipline, teamwork. In the meantime, they acquire a skill that they can use all their life. And I would consider this orchestra to be an elite program. Our conductors are very high quality. And as the kids start at age 7 or 8 and go through high school, they do develop a wonderful talent that, as Pat said, can be used in all areas of life as far as what they end up doing professionally and garnering the discipline that it takes.
What drew you to want to be involved in this organization, Mark?
That's kind of funny. I had no musical talent whatsoever,
Mhm.
but I've always appreciated music and uh, deep admiration for Linda Abels and some of the people that were on the board. When I was asked to come on the board, I had a lot of respect for. I didn't really know much about the orchestra at the time, but it was a calling that I felt like I should find out what's going on. And being around all the great musicians in the orchestra and all the great instructors, I still have no musical
Mm.
talent today, and that probably will never change.
I beg to differ. I think that being able to listen well to a beautiful performance is a talent too.
Pat, let me pick up on something you said, which is this is the Hill Country Youth Orchestras. This is not the Kerrville Youth Orchestras or the Kerr County. Could you talk to us a little bit about the breadth and scope of what you do in your locations outside of Kerrville?
Absolutely. Bernie was a program that our previous executive director, two people before me, Matt Evans, implemented. And he did it because a family in Bernie offered us a startup fund to do this. He just went full steam ahead and began to form a small program in Bernie, and at that time, Boerne ISD had a very young orchestra program in its school district. Having done that, that gave an outlet to the students who were homeschooled, the students who were in private schools, and also to the blossoming Boerne ISD program. Our program tends to meet the needs of more advanced pupils and students who are a little more serious, especially at the high school level. So, since that program started, which was very small, one orchestra, maybe 4 to 8 students, now the Boerne campus has 4 orchestras. And there was a point where the Boerne ISD school district took out their beginning strings classes at the elementary level, and we decided at that point, since elementary age is really an ideal age to start a string student, that we would implement a beginning strings program. And only the Boerne campus offers beginning strings class. Other campuses all require at least 1 year of experience. So they have a beginning strings class, second year level strings class, and then they meet the needs of the more advanced middle school students, and then, of course, our high school program. Fredericksburg is a unique program because they also did not have a, they don't currently don't have an orchestra program in their school district at all. We're the only way in Fredericksburg for a child that wants to play a string instrument in a group setting can actually get that done. So our parents in Fredericksburg often begin their students with some private lessons, and then through the Hill Country Youth Orchestras, they can join our uh, orchestras there. We have 2 levels there. the second year string student level, and then a little more advanced level than that. And then at some point, if they want to pursue it, they will join us in Kerrville for high school level.
So do you often have students go through literally each level or each orchestra all the way up to high school?
Absolutely. Last year we had, I think, something like 18 to 23 seniors that graduated from Hill Country Youth Orchestras, and the string students, most of them started with us in fourth or fifth grade and stayed in the program for all of the years of their education.
I've also seen graduates of the Hill Country Youth Orchestras come back while they were in college or even after college to teach in the summer or during other classes. Could you tell a little bit about that?
I sure can. Our students often go off, and many of them will either major in music or minor in music or continue their studies after they graduate from high school. We invite those students to come back as interns and assistants in our summer camp programs, and they have come back, in fact, to play with Symphony of the Hills. And we currently have had at least 4 students that have performed with Symphony of the Hills, and our principal timpanist, excuse me, in the percussion section, Richie Miller, who I hope you all will come to the Symphony of the Hills concert on October 10th. He is a product of the Hill Country Youth Orchestras and went through all 4 years of high school with us in the woodwind brass percussion area.
Mark, I'd like to turn to upcoming event that the Hill Country Youth Orchestras is hosting, and it's our, I should say, annual fundraiser because full disclosure, I'm on the board as well, and it's the high tea. So let me see if I can get a little history about the high tea. We moved to Kerrville in April 2021. I think, and my wife is English. In mid May, we saw an ad in the Kerrville Daily Times for a high tea. And at that time, the event was held in June. And she said, we have to go. And then we registered and we found out women had to wear hats. And she was like, oh, thank God. I can wear one of my hats, which hadn't been brought out since the pandemic started. Tell us about just kind of the format of the event because it's truly unique to Kerr County and maybe even the Hill Country to have a high tea as an event.
Tom, you're right, and I remember that event and remember meeting you that particular year. It is a very unique event, and I echo what you said. It's probably something that you don't see done within a large scope of where we are right now. This year, it is coming up. It's October 19th. We have a new venue. This will be our second year at the Museum of Western Art. It's a fantastic location. Admission includes being able to tour the museum either before or after the event. The event is on Saturday, October 19th. It begins at 11 o'clock. The probably won't get the details right, but the the china ware that's on each table is genuine. The food rails will be catering, and it's genuine English tea fare. The the ladies love to dress up. They love to wear their hats. Men are invited. You and I will be there along with some other guys, and it's a lot of fun. It's very different. We will have a young man who's attending Abilene Christian University, whose youth orchestra alumni play for for the crowd. We play bingo, and if you want to see something kind of funny, then watch a bingo game with lots of folks that are dressed up wearing hats. It gets a little exciting. You just don't see some of the emotion. You don't expect some of the emotion coming out of these proper attendees, but
So the first year that we attended, first of all, I was the third male. I'm very happy to say we've increased that almost exponentially last year. I think we had 10.
yes.
So this is definitely a coeducational event.
Mhm.
But also the first year, so we'd been in Kerrville maybe 5 or 6 weeks. The first bingo winner was my wife, and she was so thrilled to win at bingo. number one. And two, she goes up to pick her teapot and they hear her speak. And they go, "Oh my God, it's an English girl." And so they said, "Mrs. Fox, the English woman is here." And the English girl got to pick the teapot she wanted. And they're lovely teapots. And she gets, I think you get a cup and saucer as well. But you're absolutely right. People, they don't kill over this bingo, but it's very lively.
Ma- Mrs. Fox didn't go over tables, as I recall, but I've seen a couple of ladies maybe almost do that. So it's very spirited.
The move over to the Museum of Western Art has allowed us to literally double or triple our size of people who can come. And it really adds to, I think, just the festivity of the atmosphere. Everyone can have a drink or at least stand and talk for a bit before we get seated at our tables. We have a lovely group of orchestra members playing as we're getting ready. And then we always have Daryl's, or we had Daryl say a few words because it's Daryl's place.
Right.
And then we get to hear a little bit about the youth orchestras as well.
It's a really cool venue because many of y'all are familiar with the museum and the motif and the style, and we maybe we realized it accidentally, I don't know, but you have this Texas Western feel and really a smell to it almost of that location. And then you also incorporate a high tea and you blend two things that maybe don't on the surface look like they go together, but they fit perfectly. It's a perfect hand and glove fitting, and it's just two cultures that make a lot of sense when you bring them together. And I think that's part of the mystique and the charm, like you said, of the venue. It's very different, and Daryl's been very accommodating also.
Pat, what does the high tea mean for you as the executive director?
Oh, it's a wonderful opportunity to, first of all, meet all the supporters that we have in the community. It is just great to chat with them and to hear their perspective on what we mean to the community of the Hill Country. And it's also an opportunity to showcase some of what we do play for the little interim before everything begins. So about 10:15, we'll have some of our younger students. And last year we had a couple of fiddlers, and they're very adorable and talented. And there's nothing like seeing an 8 or 9-year-old just go to town on some of the country hits that we all love. we I'm very excited also with our speakers this year that will be presented. We have a young man named Turner Ray who Mark has already mentioned will be there playing at a beautifully advanced level, but he's also going to speak to what it means to him to have been through the program. And we have one other student. Her name is Akemi, and she's one of our Boerne students, and she is currently a music education major at UTSA. So she's planning to speak and maybe play a little bit too.
Mark, could you give us maybe some other highlights of the event from your perspective?
Just a great way to showcase, like Pat said, what we do and who we are, and to show appreciation to our patrons. And it's just one of those events. We've all been to a lot of fundraising events, and the level of excitement, I think, is a little elevated at this event because it is very unique. The other kind of fun thing about it, it's from a board perspective, there's a little bit of work to set the site up, and it's kind of fun to get everybody together and sweat and groan and move tables and kind of bring kind of a little mini board retreat for 2 or 3 hours while we're setting up the room, which is nice. We Our capacity, I believe, for the event is 160 people. We do have tickets available. You can go on our website and buy them directly. I think the window for that closes October 7th, and individual tickets are $65, and it does include admission to the museum to see the exhibits.
Actually, I was told that we might be able to extend that a little bit.
Good.
But what is the website that people could go to find out more and get tickets?
Mhm. Is it development?
There are two ways to do it probably. To reach our development director, who is very instrumental in this endeavor, it would be development@hcyo.org. Or if you go to our website, hcyo.org, you can probably find a link. We also have another address, email address that all questions can be referred to, and that would be admin@hcyo.org.
We're going to put all of those links in the show notes.
The one thing to know is we we do not sell tickets at the door, so they all need to be purchased in advance.
I'm just going to add, be sure and bring lots of $20 bills so you can get raffle tickets.
Yes.
And we had a very large sale of raffle tickets at the door. We do sell raffle tickets at the door. It's a lot of fun. And so I hope people will come out. I hope you'll come out and support this great organization. I hope you'll come out and hear some great music, eat some great food because the food really was first rate. And I'm looking forward to that again this year and support the Hill Country Youth Orchestra.
We appreciate that. Thank you.